Tom Watson put together any of the best instructional videos of all time. In this video clip, Tom talks about the most important part of the golf swing, the takeaway.
At this point in Lessons of a Lifetime, let's break down the entire golf swing, starting with the takeaway. A long time ago, I read an article about Arnold Palmer saying that the first 2 feet of the backswing is the most important part of the swing. This is what happens in the backswing. You start the club, left hand, left forearm, left shoulder, right hand is on for the ride. The left arm, the back of the left hand, take the club back for about the first 2 feet of the backswing like this. Notice that this arm, and the club doesn't move position. It just moves back. That's called swinging the club back. What happens a lot of times is people lever the club back immediately with their hands, meaning that their hands go like this away from the ball. They either go around, up, but what happens, it makes the club very heavy in the golf swing. By doing this the proper way, taking the club back for the first 2 feet without moving much of anything, now the club can go up and set properly with the hands. When you overuse the hands on the backswing, it can set early, it can unleash early. There are a lot of things that can go wrong. So let's review. Start of the takeaway, think of the back, the left hand, the last 3 fingers, the forearm, and the shoulder. They all move the club back in unison to about right there. That is the start of the takeaway. Another key element in the proper takeaway is the hands in, club head out. What you're doing here is this. You're maintaining this angle that the club shaft and your left arm make at address. You maintain that angle going back into your backswing about that far. That's the proper way of doing it. You don't want to break that angle and make that angle get straight like this. A lot of people will lift their hands up and then try to rotate around, or they'll immediately turn off the ball like this. Look, you've lost your angle. You've lost this angle. You want to maintain that angle deep into your backswing like this so that your hands can hinge properly at the top. That's swinging the club head. The proper takeaway is the hands in, the club head out. Now watch what happens in the backswing. It goes there, like this. When it gets up to the top, your wrists break right up, like this. And they're in a very, very perfect set position right here. The club is light. The left thumb is underneath the shaft. What happens when you rotate the club, where you get the club head in and the hands out, the club head starts here, 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 here. Now the club gets laid off, points over here, and it gets heavy up here with the left thumb on the side of the shaft like that, causing all kinds of problems in your golf swing inconsistency. So let's review. Hands in, club head out. What you're doing here is this. You're maintaining this angle that the club shaft and your left arm make at address. You maintain that angle going back into your backswing about that far. That's the proper way of doing it. Another key ingredient to a proper takeaway is the tempo of your takeaway. You must find your own body rhythm. I have a very fast, or pretty fast, takeaway. I take it away about that fast. Fred Couples, on the other hand, takes it away nice and slow. Now let's see how this works. The key things on the backswing are these. Don't forget, there's a sequence that happens. Your left arm, left hand, and left shoulder start the backswing, as we said before. The movement goes this way. The left arm, left shoulder, it goes this way like this, but watch what happens to the left knee. The left knee starts to collapse into the ball like this, and the right hip starts to turn out of the way backwards like this. The key element here is that it is a sequence, that your shoulders start your hip turn. Your shoulders start first, then your hips are pulled by your shoulders on your backswing. The things we've got to stay away from are the straightening of the right knee in the backswing or the flexing outside the right foot of the right knee. Now watch what happens in a bad backswing. This is the dreaded reverse pivot, where the right knee straightens and your weight goes forward like this. Or the person who wants to get behind the ball, they slide this way and the right knee gets off the ball this way like that. We don't want to do that. What we want to do is continue the sequence on the backswing, which is left arm, left shoulder, club head starts this way, the left knee collapses in toward the ball, the right hip goes back, we get the club up in a proper position like that. That's how we transition into the backswing to the top of it. Another important point in consistency for your backswing is to maintain the angle of your left wrist all the way through to the top of the golf swing. Look, I have a slight break in that angle right there. It's not this way, and it's not this way. It's not cupped, and it's not convex like this. I want to take this angle of that left wrist up to the top of the backswing and keep it the same. It goes back there, it doesn't change. It goes up there like this, it doesn't change. At the top of the swing, it's the same angle, like this. And when it starts down, it still remains the same angle. What happens in a lot of golf swings is that this angle on the backswing changes and it goes this way in the backswing, or it might go even cuppy and goes this way in the backswing. What happens to a lot of players is that that angle does not remain the same in the backswing. A lot of times when you take the club back with your hands too much, look where that angle is right now. It is dead flat. You've lost the cup. You've lost the cup on the backswing. You want to maintain that cup right to there in the backswing so that your hands hinge naturally. The way the club head will hinge the hands and keep that slight cup position right there at the top of the swing. Some people say they want a flat left wrist at the top of the backswing. I say you go to the top of the backswing with the same left wrist position as you started with at address. In continuing the discussion about the takeaway and the backswing, I placed a rod down here to show a reference point where you should be on the backswing. When you take the club away and your left arm reaches horizontal, when my left arm is parallel to the ground, I want the butt of the club to be aiming at that aim line right there. And on the mirror finish, on the follow through, when my right arm is straight, I want that butt of the club to be also aiming right there at the aim line. That means I have made a complete release of the club head on a very concentric arc through the impact area. One of a couple of other ways to explain this is what I call the hitchhiker method. When you swing your club back, think about your thumbs. Your thumbs should be pointing just off vertical like this, and actually the club would then be, again, pointing toward that aim line right like that. On the follow-through, thumbs do the opposite. It's the mirror image of it, where the thumbs now point left of the vertical like this, and if you had the club in your hand, the butt of the club would actually be on your aim line again. Another way to describe this method is rotation of the forearms. Put your hands vertical like this, rotate your hands so they're horizontal like that. That's where they should be, somewhere in the backswing like this. A lot of people don't get it rotated enough. Some people rotate it too much. On the follow through, they rotate the other way like this. This is for slicers. When you don't rotate enough this way, the club never releases enough where the club face squares up at impact. It never gets to the point where the butt of the club points to your aim line. So you can think about it all three different ways. You can talk about on your backswing, Left arm parallel, the club butt is pointed to the aim line. Follow through, right arm straight, parallel, the butt is pointed to the aim line. You can talk about your thumbs. As you take it back, your thumbs go up like this. They're not vertical, they're not over here, they're like that. Follow through, they're not vertical, they're over like that. And you can also talk about it with your forearms rotating this way, the impact, and through like this. Remember, slicers, go that way through impact. Well, in the review of the backswing, let's take a look at the sequencing of it again. Remember at the beginning when I said you keep the weight in the balls of your feet? Well, one of the things in the backswing is your weight does not leave the balls of your feet. You transition around with your hips like this. You keep the weight centered along the balls of your feet like this in your backswing. It's centered there like this. You don't want your center of gravity to be moving back and forth like this. Number two, I remember one of the great tips I learned as a kid, and that is you want to turn your lower body in a barrel this way and then that way, like this. You don't want to be sliding outside the walls of the barrel this way. You want to be turning in the barrel. Now let's review the whole backswing sequence to make sure that we have it down. We start our waggle, and remember we start with our left hand, left arm, left shoulder. Remember the angle of the shaft and the left arm stays consistent, keeping the club head outside the hands. As our shoulders turn, that also starts to turn our hips. The left knee starts to collapse in toward the ball. And what happens is our right hip is now turning backwards and getting out of the way. My left heel comes off the ground because I like to swing the club up a long way with my left arm. Then we transition up to the top. Right there, we're starting to feel a good tight pull in our back, especially the left side of our back. And what that does is create the torque that you need to create speed on the downswing. Now let's put it to practice and see what happens.